Hello and welcome to the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast. My name is Melissa Hemming, and if a life coach and a therapist had a baby, you would get me. I am so excited for you to hear this episode today. I have Marka, who has such an incredible story. I was even blown away because, when you assume things, and what assuming does is makes an ass out of you and me. But I just thought she had been a runner for most of her life. And I found out that she hasn't. And I love this story of resiliency and determination and grit. And it's just a really cool sort of intro if you're not familiar with ultra running and trail running and how different that looks than road running. So I hope you really enjoy this. Just a couple housekeeping things. The third round of It's Your Effin' Breakthrough starts today. If you're listening today, Monday, June 9th, we start round 3. I am so excited. I have done 2 rounds now so far, and I'm just really proud. I'm really, really proud of this program and how it's helping women prioritize themselves, make time for themselves, their goals, their thoughts, and really become unstuck. So whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're sort of working through, this is a great way to prioritize your mental health in a way that you'll have this moving forward. You'll have these resources, you'll have these tools, you'll have the support. So we start the 9th, but another really exciting update in my offerings is after It's Your Effin' Breakthrough, I know I was like, how can I support these people moving forward? Because it's great to do a program. It's great to have these resources, but accountability really is what sticks you with your goals. So what I've come up with is the It's Your Effin' Breakthrough Club. And what the club does is give you ongoing support. So you're going to get journal prompts during the month. You're going to get a monthly group coaching call. And you're going to have the accountability that you need to help keep you keeping care of you. What? I don't know if that made sense, but it did in my head. So I'm really proud of both of these offerings. The club is just getting started, and I'd love to see you there. That and it's not just for people who have been through It's Your Effin' Breakthrough. Sure, it's there to provide that support afterwards, but it's also for people who may not want to join It's Your Effin' Breakthrough. Maybe it's out of your budget this month. Maybe you don't want the intensity of that program right now. Maybe you feel like you already have the support of a therapist or a coach. This is your entryway in to see, maybe even explore journaling and see how it could help you in your life. I know a lot of clients, even that join my practice in therapy, are not always willing to try journaling. And I don't know, there's a multitude of reasons that I find. Maybe they are scared someone's going to find it. Maybe they don't feel like they have the time to do it. Maybe it hasn't helped them in the past. So a lot of resistance to trying it. And maybe you're like, I want to try it, but I don't want to invest hundreds of dollars into It's Your Effin' Breakthrough. I want to just try it and see, dip your toes in. So there's a monthly option. There's a 3-month option. The monthly option is $29 for the month. The 3-month option is $79. And then I do have a package deal for It's Your Effin' Breakthrough and the club. So reach out to me if you're interested. The links are in the show notes. I'd love to see you there and give you some support. You can cancel at any time. I want to help you to prioritize yourself and get where you want to go. So without further ado, what time is it? Podcast time. It's a celebration. What time is it? Podcast time. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast, Marka. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super honored.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, so I have watched your journey for a while now. So I met you through your daughter, Kristen, who's amazing as well. And it's been so fun to watch all that you've been up to. And after huge, most recent accomplishment, unless you've done something else, which I don't know about yet. I'm like, you have got to come on and share your story because I just don't know the background. I don't know anything about what brought you to this point, and I want to learn everything.
Sure. So, well, you know my daughter. So one day, 6 years ago, out of the blue, I get a phone call from her, and she says, "Mom, so a co-teacher of mine's daughter has a sarcoma and wants to put a team together to run in the Albany Sarcoma 5K in the fall. Will you train and will you do it with me?" And I went, "You want me to do what?" I said, "You realize I am the epitome of a couch potato and I'm a heavy smoker. And you want me to run how many miles? I don't even know what mileage we're talking about." And she's like, "Well, it's 3 miles. And will you please at least just try?" And I said, "Okay, but I remember saying this to her, Melissa. I'm like, I will try, but I cannot guarantee you I'm going to stick with it."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, just try." So we downloaded the C2 5K app and we started, and I will never forget that first day. Run 60 seconds, walk 90 seconds. I wanted to die. I'm like, I have to make it through day one, and you want me to do this for like 8 to 10 weeks? What? So once I got over that shock, I went, okay, I can do this. Let's be real about this. And then I don't know the first thing about sneakers. All I knew is my knees hurt. Okay, so let's go figure out what we need to do to make this happen. Um, so that's really how
I
the journey
I
started.
can't believe that it was just 6 years ago. I thought for sure you were going to tell me your whole life that you were a runner.
No, I didn't start running until I was 53.
I
So
love it. So, okay, and I did not know you were a smoker either. So now, like when she called you to ask you to join her, was it like a plea to get healthy, or was she just wanting your company, or was it like all of the above?
no, it mainly was to support her coworker's daughter struggling with cancer. And
Okay.
I'm like, oh, and that's really what started my running journey was, hey, I can do this to bring awareness to things, to raise money for things. And on occasion, they revolve around beer, because the second run we did was Oktoberfest. And I'm like, oh, I can have a beer when I'm done? That's perfect. So that's
I love it.
really how we started. And then, she's much younger than I am. She was way better than I am. And so the next thing I know, she signs up for a half marathon. And I went, well, I can't let you do that. I registered for a half marathon. And it was like looking back on it, it was like the worst half marathon ever.
Why? Why? Like,
Well, I don't. We did a regular half marathon training program that you can get free online anywhere, which I think was okay. Um, but it was on a local rail trail, which is nice for your first half marathon. It's usually straight and flat and pretty good. But the problem for me was there was no spectators, and I felt like I could have really used the encouragement and the whole thing.
yeah.
I did not have a fancy watch. I did not have fancy headphones. My first 4 miles, I got soaked because it rained so hard. So
Oh,
my earbuds stopped working. My phone was soaking wet. So it was just a lot of quirky things that happen for your first half
yeah.
marathon. But it really was more about the only support we had were at the cross parts of the trail. There were some people, but it was also raining. So I'm sure a lot of people were like, yeah, we're not going down. It's raining.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, But by the time I crossed the finish line 3+ hours later, uh, the sun had come out and it was nice out. And uh, I remember looking at my daughter going, now, can you imagine running a full marathon? Now, imagine us turning around and running all the way back. And we were like, never, never, no way.
But
So,
but then you did.
yeah, I kind of did.
I'd say you did. So let me ask you this. Did you quit smoking?
I did. So, every time I went out to train, I would get back to my house and say, you would be so much better at this if you quit smoking. And then I would be like, yeah, not today.
Yeah,
So, and I hate to say this because obviously there are a million reasons to quit smoking. I don't know why it took running to do that, but whatever it takes for people is what it takes. Um,
absolutely.
I think it was like 3 months later. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, that was my same situation. I would when I first started running, I would run and celebrate with a cigarette. And it was like I would start to think like, oh, maybe my lungs, like maybe I could breathe easier if I didn't do this.
Yeah,
But it did take me, and that's why I always say like, if you're trying to overhaul all of your life, like quitting smoking, starting running, eating healthy, it could be too much. Like if someone told me you can't run and smoke, I don't know that I would have ever started running. Like it had to be that sequence for me.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Wow.
And
So you
frankly,
quit.
I knew that I was a couch potato and I knew I was a heavy smoker. And 90% of me said to me, you're not going to be able to do this. Why
Yeah.
would you consider doing this? Um, but it was more about supporting someone less fortunate and really
Yeah.
struggling. Like, this is
Isn't
not a,
that amazing? Like sometimes you have to do it for someone else, right? Like that's what I always say. Like I started this for my kids, and then through that learned to love myself and appreciate my own health, my own body, my own um whatever, how it invigorated my life. But it took me doing it for someone else. And oftentimes, like when I'm running or racing or fundraising, when you think about the others or the people who can't do it, who want to do it, like that's what keeps you going.
yeah, no, I agree. And I get strength from that. I get strength from watching your stories. And you're so committed, and that's how I try to be. That I see you with your strength training
Oh,
work. Like, okay, like she's out there doing okay. I guess I can, I guess I can do it too. Um, but I to give myself some credit, I do not lack determination.
no, you
Um,
don't.
I I never have. It's just one thing I have a goal. If I set a goal, and I'm gonna go get it, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like, however long that takes.
So now you're in it. Like you are addicted to this running thing.
Mhm.
You've caught the running bug.
I did.
And I love so much seeing you and Kristen training and running and racing and doing these things together. I think it's so amazing. So you ran the half, and then did you do a marathon or did you jump right to ultra?
No, so and I'm excited to have this conversation with a marathoner,
Yeah.
because I hold on. The sun is poking through my window here. Um, I totally feel that running an ultra is so much different than running a marathon. Uh,
100%. I mean, and I
I
say that only I've never run an ultra, but I've run at an ultra. So I do agree. Go ahead. Yeah, continue.
I always was feeling that I would not be a good marathoner. I would be a much better ultra marathoner, and I only just figured that out running this ultra marathon. Now I feel like I belong in the ultra marathon space and
Yeah.
not really marathon space. And it, like I said the other day, it all boils down to snacks and bad decisions.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's so much different. But the biggest difference for me personally, because I am an older runner, because I'm a slower back of the pack runner, pace becomes less important for us than it does
Yes.
in a marathon. I'm not pressured at the start of a marathon to make that pace and that very specific cutoff. It stresses me out way too much.
Yeah.
And I'm just not good with that. So I feel like the ultra marathon world is better suited. I picked this particular ultra that I ran because it had a 27-hour cutoff, and I'm like, I could probably walk that in and
Yeah.
do it in hours. But the 27-hour cutoff was not because they thought the 40 miler was hard and it was going to take you 27 hours. It was because it was much bigger part of the 250-mile race that was going on at the same time. So they were given the 250, the 125, and the 89 runners plenty of time to finish their race. We just the 40-miler just happened to be lucky that we were at the tail end of
Wow.
that. So that's really why I picked it, because it had a huge cutoff time.
Yeah. So which race was this again?
This was called the Flagstaff. It started out. This is funny too. When I registered for it. It started out as the Eldon Crest 36. So it was the last 36 miles of the Cocodona 250.
Okay.
So in that Eldon,
250 is wild, by the way.
oh, I can't imagine. However, I can't imagine I would ever run an ultra either. So I'm not going to
There
say
you
that.
go.
But the Eldon Crest included climbing Mount Eldon, which is a 4,000-foot high peak in Flagstaff. And I'm like, oh boy, that's going to be a killer. And it
Yeah.
comes at the tail end of the 39 miles. It's like the last 6 miles is up this mountain. But I'm like, I'm all in for this. And then a couple of months later, we all got an email saying, due to the Mexican spotted owl nesting at Mount Eldon, we are changing the route and you will no longer be climbing the mountain. However, we're going to add 3 miles. I'm like, that's okay. I will take those 3 miles over having to climb that high peak. But the they were going to let the 250 group do it, so the 250 runners still had to climb that. But anyway, I didn't have to, so I was
That's
okay with it.
amazing.
Yeah, the last the last 12 miles of the Flagstaff 39 was brutal. It included, well, I had gained 3,000 feet over the course of 40 miles, but the last 1,000 feet came at the last 11 miles. So I had a pretty big climb.
So this was not like a circle. This was
No, no, no. This was very all different terrains. So we started out in actually an old army base.
okay.
And Flagstaff has a lot of hiking trails. And we would be on a hiking trail for a while. And a lot of the trail system is really technical. So you have to pay really good attention
Yeah.
to running those technical trails. But I enjoy that. So I felt very comfortable out there. I'm like, just don't fall and get hurt. You'll
Do
be
you
fine.
train on trails? Or did you train on trails?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I did a lot of different things. So I think the smartest one of the smartest things I did when I thought I wanted to be an ultra runner was to hire an ultra running coach, because I have no idea where to start with that. I have no idea what to do. and how to do this. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. I found a great guy um, who really, really helped me. And, we when we started off and we thought we had that mountain, we started off with a lot of hill training. Um, we continued the hill training just because, you have to. You probably do hill training when you are training for a marathon. Boston's full of hills. So I most really do.
I'm like, I hope for the best. Like, you should.
Yeah, and so one of my longest run was 20 miles. And he said to me, he says, I need you to do those 20 miles somewhere on a technical trail. And I'm like, okay. And I know where to go, and I know what to do. So that's what I did. So I did have a lot of, I frankly like trail running more than I like road running. So um, I do like the technical part of the trail system. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was the one thing that I really struggled with, which really surprised me, was the isolation, because there were several hours where I was out there by myself, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring. But then the trail would turn technical, and I'm like, okay, pay attention to what you're.
Yeah. Well,
And
and that's the interesting part because it's a lot of like the footwork. Like you have to know or watch where you're going so you're not,
yeah,
tripping over roots or whatever. I don't know what kind of terrain there was there, but
yeah, a lot of roots, a lot of rocks. There was one section that had these, rocks about this big. So it
wow.
was just like, oh my goodness, this was crazy.
Did you see
Uh,
wildlife?
no, that was another thing that kind of disappointed me. I did see two little foxes chasing each other, but really no wildlife
That
until
is sad.
I was coming back into town. Um, and it was through a residential area, and there were 4 deer on some person's lawn. And I'm like, really? I just go 38 miles and I see nothing, and I see 4 deer at the almost by the finish line. That was really funny to me. But then again, you've got, I don't know, 800 runners running through those sections that probably have scared away a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
wildlife.
So, okay, so you have to walk me through how this works because I'm not used to, and I mean, I've only done, as I said, I've never done an ultra. I like to be very clear about that. I've never done the ultra distance. However, I've run a race at an ultra, but that ultra was loops. So like the aid stations were huge. The support was ongoing. How did the
Yep.
support slash the aid work at that race?
So for my particular race, I had 4 aid stations. The first one
That doesn't sound
was
like enough.
um, actually it not for being such a virgin at this. I felt like it was fine.
You did. Okay.
Um,
Okay. And
but the
you
cool thing,
carried a lot, I'm sure.
I carried a little bit of fuel.
Okay.
I carried a lot of water and electrolytes. I
Okay.
carried a little bit of fuel because I knew once I got to the aid station, I'd be able to eat till I didn't want to eat anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm talking cheeseburger. I had a cheeseburger at mile 25.
I
I mean, who
love it.
did that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so the first aid station was at mile 8, and then the next one was at like mile 14, mile 22. So they were, within 7, 8, 5 miles of each other. So I made that, instead of looking at 40 miles, I made the aid stations my goal. Let's just get
Yeah.
to the first station. It's only 8 miles.
Yeah.
Let's get to the next aid station. It's only another 5 miles. So that was really helpful to break those down into smaller chunks,
Yeah.
um, mini finish lines. It was pretty cool.
So did you run alone?
I did because I don't have any friends crazy enough to want to tackle 40 miles, right?
Yeah.
No, I ran the first 8 miles with a group of people, a group of women in the back who
Okay.
were clearly not in a hurry and wanted to just keep, just power hike. That was their thing. They're just going to power hike the whole thing. Um, so that was great. I'm like, I hung with those women. They were fabulous and very supportive. And we do this every year, and this is great, and you're gonna love it. But we got to that first aid station, and they kind of grabbed and left. But I wanted to go pee, and I wanted to see what all the good fun things were. So I hung out
Yeah.
for a minute. Um, and then for the most of it, I really was by myself. But I did, again, I drew a lot of inspiration because I would run into one of the 250-mile runners, and they had horrible weather their first 3 days. So by the time I saw them, they were pretty depleted. And I kept saying, there'll be no whining from you because they're probably pretty excited right now. They only have 40 miles left. So
Yeah.
but I, in retrospect, I don't think that 40 miles could have gone any better for me.
Really?
I didn't have my legs held up. I remember making that. I did have that 1,000-foot climb, and I remember making that climb going, wow, the legs are not tired. They're still going. I was pretty proud of how my legs held up.
So what was the highest mileage that you got to in your training?
20.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
That
I did.
blows my mind. Because even for a
Well,
marathon, you're like, this is not enough. This can't be enough, you know?
I said that to myself. People have said that to me. I had to trust that my coach knew what he was doing.
And obviously he did.
And obviously he did. I had done some back-to-back long runs. Like I ran a half marathon, a real live registered half marathon in a snowstorm. And then the following day, ran 7 miles. And then the following week, I don't remember the mileage, but it was like 12 miles one day. Oh no, then it stopped after the half marathon and the 7 miles. Then it turned into hours. I need you
Um,
3 hours on your legs. He's like, you can break it up, do however you want, whatever you want. Just give me 3 hours on your legs. So I actually did a backyard ultra. I left my house. I ran up over the mountain down to my daughter's, around her house, back down the road, and then back to mine. And then one time I went down, I had lunch with them. And then one time I went down, they met me her and my granddaughter met me at the top of the hill to do a lap with me.
I love it.
And the entire time I was out there in the rain, but I was out there for 3 hours. And I'm like, that's what he wants me to do. That's what I'm doing. And,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of that, but I understand your point about the loops because my next one is an 8 hour ultra, and it's a loop.
When
Um,
is that?
that's in August. That's the summer swelter one. It's a like 0.355 mile track loop,
Okay.
and that's 8 hours. So what's nice about that for me is doesn't matter how many miles I put in. I'm just gonna run around and I'm gonna, bring my little support tent and stuff that my chair. And when I want to sit down, I'm gonna sit down and take a break. And when I want to get back
Yeah.
up, I want to run.
Well, and that's so, my one experience with actually running in that environment, that's the nice part about the loops, right? And I get like a lot of people are like, well, that's boring, but when you have the aid station, so you can always fuel, you can always sit. For the people who run the 24 or whatever, they can change their shoes. There's the porta potties. And then what's nice is like you see, even if you're running alone for a while, you chances are someone's going to catch up to you, you're going to catch up to someone, and then you can,
Yeah.
you have that like support. So I can't wait for you to experience that, to see what the difference is, like
Mhm.
how that works for you. Where is that one?
That's 15 minutes from my house. I'm like, wow, that's pretty close. They're doing it at the local park right down the road. And I'm like,
I love it.
yeah,
So is there like a certain amount of mileage that you have to get to hit completion, or to, oh,
no,
okay. You just do whatever you're going to do for 8 hours.
do for 8 hours. Everybody will get a finisher medal no matter how many miles they do. Doesn't
Do you
really
have a
matter.
goal?
I do have a goal. I think I can do a 50K. So that's gonna be my goal, but it's gonna depend on how hot it is because I'm a cold weather runner. I am
Yeah.
not a hot weather runner.
Yeah.
Uh, so that'll be a trick right there.
And a
But
50K is how much? That's
31 miles.
31.6, is it?
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that.
So, and okay, so I want to talk about this, the road running versus the trail running too, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand this until you try the trail running for the first time, which I think a lot of people are scared to try if they've never run on trails before, which I think it's important to mention too. Like, you have, in order to run well on trails, you have to train on trails, right? Like, it's not just
Yeah.
something that you can go out and do. Um, but I agree with you so much, because before I ran, and the one that I ran was Anchor Down Ultra, and how that worked was, it was a 6 hour, 12 hour, 24 hour. In
Mhm.
order to successfully complete the 6 hour, you had to hit, like, it was like 21 miles, or 20, no, 2206. So, which is why I say I never completed the ultra distance, because I never went over 22 miles. But until I did that race, I didn't understand, because when you're running on the roads, it's so different. The pace, like you said, people are so concerned with pace. There's obviously restrictions for, road closures and all of that, which you don't have to deal with in trails. And then the food, like, all that people eat during road races is gels, it
Mhm.
may be jelly beans, but you go to an ultra, and I was blown away. One aid station served us like chicken noodle soup. One,
Yes.
the other one had anything that you could possibly imagine. And then at midnight they ordered pizza, and I was like, what? Soda, like all
Yeah,
these things that, like, for roadrunners is taboo, is a yay at ultra. It's so different.
it is. And that's why I'm leaning towards being an ultra runner because I'd much rather three tacos than three goos.
Yeah. Like, it fascinates me, because I'm like, why haven't any of, like, the like, I guess, the relaxed part of ultra running slash trail running, why hasn't any of that seeped into road running? But I mean, I sort of do. I'm like, I drink pickle juice or whatever I can,
Right.
Uncrustables or whatever. But
Yeah.
you do it at road races, people would be like, what?
But you also have to kind of be careful because you want to be able to train with that stuff too. But
Yes.
they, I mean, when I was doing the backyard one, I would have ramen with my daughter and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but there's really no way to train with a cheeseburger.
No.
Um, but I also knew that uh, I probably was not going to have a problem with any of that over 12 miles. So
Yeah,
the one
what happened if, like, there's only porta potties at the aid stations? Did you have any issues?
I did not have any issues. I mean, I
Good.
was prepared because that's actually part of one of the required gear that you have to bring along with you is like toilet paper and a bag and
No
the whole,
way. In
whole
case you shit.
yeah, in case people have to. So you have to go 30 feet off the trail and dig a hole so many
Oh my
inches.
God. This was
Thing.
part of the race rules?
Yeah, it's part of the
But
requirement.
did you have like a shovel?
You, I didn't bring one. I had toyed with bringing one. I'm sure that more than half of the 250-mile runners probably had one.
Yeah.
Their their aid stations. They had there was one where it was like 20 miles between aid stations, so they had to whatever. But yeah, it's a whole different world between the two of them. So I am going to in May next May. I'm going to do a 24-hour one.
You
Uh,
are.
yeah,
You
I am.
are. You've joined Crazy Town.
Yeah, I'm trying crazy town.
I love it. So where's the 24-hour one?
One is going to be in New Hampshire. It's called the White Lakes 24 Hour. So my coach actually sent it to me and he was like, I think you would like this one. He's run it several times. He'll volunteer there if he's not running it. He's like, everybody dresses up in costumes. He goes, you might want to try to figure out what kind of costume you're going to wear. He's like, it's just a big party and everybody's there to have fun. That's what I want to do. I want to do that. I really
Yeah.
want to dress up and go have fun and run for 24 hours.
So, and when is that you said? That's next year.
That's next May. Yeah, I
Okay.
got
Next.
that time.
So, what I wonder what the training will look like for that. Like how far you go for, I
I
guess it
think
depends on your goal, right? Like,
right. It'll depend on how many miles I think I want to tackle out of 24, but I think um, it'll be more similar to hours on my feet as opposed to how many
yeah.
miles we get in, which I'm way more comfortable with, frankly.
Yeah. It's so freeing to look at it like that because you do need that endurance for your longer runs. You have to be able to be on your feet. So to be able to count just time on your feet versus like I have to pump out these certain miles at this certain speed, it's so freeing, which is one of the joys of ultra running is the walking.
Right. Right. I I bet you out of 40. Well, it took me 14 hours and 37 minutes to do those 40 miles. I probably walked 80% of it
I
because it
love
was
that.
so technical.
Yeah.
Um, and um, especially at night, I was still on the mountain at night when night fell, and I knew coming down was probably going to be a little tricky, so I needed to be careful coming down. But I kind of just plodded along when I felt like plodding along, and I walked when I didn't want to run, and um, again, it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how my initial goal though was to try to get in before dark. I knew in the first 3 miles that was not the possibility anymore, for two reasons: because it was so technical and I had to pay attention, and I really struggled with the altitude. I never thought the altitude was going to give me so much trouble up there. Um,
Yeah.
did. I'm like, wow, that's surprising. I thought I had landed in Arizona in Phoenix 2 days and then Flagstaff for 4 days. I thought 4 days in Flagstaff was going to be enough time to kind of acclimate to the altitude,
And it
and it was
wasn't.
not.
Wow.
No. Um, but again, doesn't really matter. I have nothing to prove. I So once I knew I was not going to finish before dark, I was like, oh, whatever, okay.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Did you fall?
I did not fall. No.
Good. No
I'm
pooping, no falling. That's a win.
telling you, it couldn't have gone any better for me. I had
Yeah.
one little blister that was starting on my foot, but nothing that really gave me any kind of trouble. Like,
Wow.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Um, yeah, I couldn't have asked for it to go any better. And if
Now,
you,
do you listen to music or do you listen to books or what do you do out
I'm
there?
not, I've tried, mainly it's music. I've tried podcasts and books and stuff, but I find my thoughts wandering too much. And I'm like, wait, I think I just missed half a chapter. What, you know, but there's only so much music you can listen to.
I know.
So that's why I think if I was ever to do a point to point ultra, I really would want someone to come with me. You don't need to talk to me for 40 miles,
Yeah.
someone there to just kind of, go, shit, that sucked. I can't believe we're still doing this. Um,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I think I'm going to really enjoy the loop process. I won't
Yeah.
need it there. There'll be people there to talk to and just kind of, mess
Yeah.
around.
And I know at Anchor Down, the people could have pacers. So people could come and you could have, they had rules about like when and how and whatever, but
Mhm.
people could have people come and, pace them at certain points in their race or whatever, the 24-hour ones, not necessarily 6 hours, but
Yeah. We were not, the 40 milers couldn't have a pacer, but the other three races got pacers for the longer distances. Um, so I understand how important, a pacer can be, if nothing else, just to keep you from going crazy
yeah,
for all. One of the other things when I first registered, one of the probably the biggest thing that scared me the most, and it really wasn't about if I could do the distance, it was about getting lost. I'm like, am I going to get lost?
yeah,
What?
yeah. I was gonna ask that, like, did you have portable chargers for your phone or like
Yeah.
how?
So
Okay.
and it's really small and it's lightning fast.
Oh wow.
Um, didn't take up too much weight in my pack. Um, so I only needed one really. But the best thing I did was invest in my Garmin that could download the map. So I had the entire map on my watch, and it
Oh
literally gave
good.
step by step course directions. But I have to say, even if I didn't have the watch with the map on it, the course was completely um, navigated very well with their signage and
Oh
and
good.
things. There was really, if you got lost, you weren't paying attention, that kind of
You were
thing.
listening to your book.
Yeah, right. You were listening to the book and you can see the 40 go this way, 125 go that way, because there were a lot of branches, off. So
Yeah.
you really there were, but before you got to there was a big sign that says there's a junction coming up. Please pay attention.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you know, um, and then there were giant wrong way signs like no, you don't go that way. But it was funny. It was really easy. It was a lot easier to navigate in the dark because those things glowed. So,
Oh,
and you could
yeah.
see them far away.
So did you have a
Uh,
headlamp?
yeah, that's one of the requirements. You have to have a headlamp. And once when I was up at the top of the mountain, once I knew I was going to be up there um, at dark, I sat down on a log and I turned on took off my backpack, dug out the whole thing, um, dug out my headlamp, got everything all set. There was one aid station that does a gear check. So if you didn't make the aid station by 2 p.m., you were going to have to carry your all your nighttime stuff, all your cold weather stuff. I knew I was not going to make that aid station by that time, so I knew they were going to do a gear check. And when I got there, they clearly checked to make sure I had my headlamp and my jacket and my gloves, and um,
Did it
I
get
was
cold?
no, I was excited when the sun went down because for me, I was pretty warm. I'm like,
You're the
but
cold weather runner.
I'm a cold weather runner. You're not going to put a coat on me unless
Yeah.
it's like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
um, but that was one of the there were a lot of logistics that you have to figure out if you were going to do something like that. They talked about drop bags. I'm like, what the hell's a drop bag? I don't know what a drop bag is. What is that? But luckily I have an ultra running coach who helped me navigate what I should do with the drop bag.
What's a drop bag?
Right. So a drop bag is you put stuff in it, you send it ahead so that you don't have to carry it for the first however many miles. So I put in my headlamp, everything, my cold weather stuff, extra socks, extra fuel, extra shoes. Didn't know if I didn't have any river crossings or streams or anything. But I didn't know if, something was going to happen with my sneakers that I had on. Were they going to rub too long? Because remember, I'd only done 20 miles.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So you send it ahead to I think it was like mile 22. So I didn't have to carry any of that stuff for the first 22 miles.
Oh,
So when
good.
I to that drop bag, I didn't make it in time, so I stuffed my coat and stuff in. But I also could take out what I didn't need anymore from my backpack. So I'm like, okay, I don't need, like, I knew the sun was going down. I don't need my sunscreen, and stuff like that. So you could switch it out. And then what they do is they'll take that and then send it to the finish line so you can pick it up when you're done. So,
Wow. So
so
what did Kristen think of this when you called her and told her you were doing an ultra?
are you crazy? No, she's been nothing but very supported through her crazy mother's journeys. Well, I mean, she actually really started this because that year, when she was looking for things to register for the following year, and she saw the Rocky Neck 30K,
I was
she went,
thinking about that one that you did, if that started your love of trails.
well, it's really where it started. She, because we were like, oh, this could be good because it's a little more than a half marathon, but not quite as far as a full marathon. And it set me up personally very well because, it was 3 mile road and then a 3 mile trail. And then you transition back to the road and then you transition back to the trail. So it broke it up in a nice, way. I really, really, really enjoyed that. I wanted to die,
Yeah.
but really enjoyed it. Um,
So was it shortly after that that you found this ultra?
yeah, it wasn't too much. It was probably 6 months later. All of a sudden, things started showing up in my feed. You know how that happens.
Yeah.
And then I started following some ultra runners. And I'm like, oh, let's just follow these people and see, about that world. And then I heard about the Cocodona 250, and then I learned that there were shorter races within this one. And I'm like, oh, there's a 36-mile one. Maybe I could do that. Anyway, maybe I could, but let me find a coach first. And then I had a little bit of trepidation, only to say to myself, do I really belong in that space? Do I really think I belong there? And then I went,
Good old imposter syndrome, right?
I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I belong there.
Yes. Yes. I love that so much. When you look back, are you just so proud of what you've done?
I'm very proud of what I've done. Yeah.
That's
Like I said,
amazing.
first started out, running a half marathon was the craziest thing I thought I would ever do. And I wouldn't even consider running a marathon.
Yeah.
But sign me up for an ultra, sure.
Oh my God. That's just my favorite part about running is I know because part of me is like, everyone should run. And then I know running is not for everyone. It's your effing journey, whatever you find that lights your soul on fire. But what I love about running is like, you just start with that one goal that you think is crazy enough. For me, that was just running a 5K. I just always wanted to run a 5K, and you just don't know where it will take you if you just allow it to take you and you say yes to the opportunities and sort of and you know how it is, like when you're running a 40-mile race and then you see these people running a 250-mile race, you're like, "Oh shit, I'm not that crazy." Right? Like the running world is so wild. There's always someone doing something crazier than you know? So it's humbling, and it also makes you dream bigger. Like if they can, I can.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's really one of the ultra runners that I started to follow, was on the heavier side, and based on her religion, had to wear a long skirt, like T-length skirt. And she was out there running, 30 miles. And I'm like,
Wow.
that's just amazing,
It's
that she,
amazing.
and I give her a lot of credit. And then she tackled, what else is on the back of my head? The belt buckle. When you get the belt buckle when you do a
Yeah.
100K. I'm like,
Yes.
oh gosh, do I see belt buckles in my future?
Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because even talking to you, like I have always held fast. Like I have no interest in anything over 26.2. Just no interest. But hearing you, I'm like, maybe I have it
You
in me.
you were just there when you did the loop one. When is that? Maybe I'll come down and do the 24-hour one, and you can do like however many hours with me.
There you go. Well, when you were talking about that August one, I'm like, huh. I am doing my first. I've done one Ragnar. I'm doing my first trail Ragnar in July.
Which one are you doing?
The Vermont one.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited for
Haven't
that.
done it.
That's a
Done
little
the
outside of
Vermont.
my comfort zone, so
Um, that's super excited because I remember doing my first road Ragnar and thought that was like the hardest thing I'd ever done. Um, and never say no to an adventure. And
no.
so if anybody calls me up and says, "Hey, you want to do a Ragnar?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm in. Tell me where
Yep.
to be."
Yeah. No,
It's
yeah, I love that. That's the best way to live life, right? Like you say yes to the opportunities and do, especially if they scare you. So when my friend asked me to do the trail Ragnar, I was like, "Oh, there's really nothing that terrifies me more than running alone in the woods at night. Sure, I'll do it."
that's great. Well, firsts are scary. Do them anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
I
you'll.
love this. I love this so much for you. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. It's been a wild ride for
How
sure.
how has like how what has been um the response from other people in your life? Are they like, this is wild? Are they supportive? Are they
Yeah, they're all very supportive. Um, they all think it's crazy,
but a good
um,
crazy?
but a good crazy. Yeah, and
Good.
they're all very proud, especially at my age.
Yes.
Who runs an ultra marathon at 63? Or decides
I
she wants to be an ultra runner at
I
63?
love it. I love that so much. Like at any age you can just do whatever you feel like doing and celebrate it, right? And honestly, although I mean I started earlier in terms of age than you, I feel like it's similar in the fact that when you start it later, there's a whole different set. You look at it a different way, right? Like I never excelled at running at any point in my life, which I think helps me embrace whatever pace I decide to go at, right? Like it's just movement and I'm able to celebrate the movement versus like beat myself up over times or. how long
Agreed.
it takes or any of that.
Agreed. And I had to say the same thing when I was out on the 40 miler going, I am grateful that I'm able to do this. There's a lot of people that would give anything to be able to walk,
Yes,
to run, to be able to do any of this. So I am going to be very grateful while I'm out here to be able to take this opportunity and be able to do this because frankly, I don't know how much longer I will have to be able to do it. I
yeah,
can, I'm going to do it until I no longer am physically capable. Uh,
absolutely.
so there's that. But yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time and sharing your story. This is, I'm blown away still that it's only been 6 years because I literally thought you had always been a runner.
No, I've always been a couch potato.
Even better, even better.
But
Couch potato to ultra marathon
no,
and beyond.
I am beyond. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk to you about it. It makes me excited. I love talking about it. I know you love talking about anything running related.
I
Uh,
do.
People's journeys in general, and everybody's journey. Like you said, it's your effing journey.
Yes. Can I share your Instagram in the show notes so that people can follow you and see what you're up to?
Sure.
Awesome.
I've never.
So
It's a great.
inspiring.
Well, I would like to think that I would inspire someone.
Absolutely. You
Hopefully.
inspire me.
Well, you inspire me right back.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear what comes next and all the stuff that you have going on. So you have August, May, and then who knows?
Send me the link to the ultra that you hours you were running,
I
and
will.
see if
Absolutely.
I'm always looking for something fun to do. Sounds
Yeah,
fun.
for sure. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and we will definitely be in touch.
Okay, Melissa, it was nice to see you. Thank
Take
you.
care.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I loved talking with Marka. So, Marka, thank you for your time and sharing your story. And please keep us posted on all of your adventures because I'm inspired. Who knows? Maybe an ultra is in my future because of this conversation. Sometimes other people have to sort of pave the way for us to dream big. And she has certainly done that for me. So, thank you guys for listening. If this episode touched you, inspired you, please feel free to take a screenshot, share it in your stories, send the link to a friend. I appreciate you being here and listening and sharing and all the support. Love you guys. Mwah!